What is she being arrested for?
Felon murder and cruelty to children in the second degree.
On February 3rd, 2021, a distressing call in Dunwoody, Georgia, prompted a swift police response after reports of an unresponsive infant in a caregiver's apartment. Amanda Hickey, the caregiver who reported to the police that she had placed the child, later identified as Charlie, on his back for a nap, was unaware of how he ended up rolling onto his stomach and tragically passing away. But despite Hickey's transparency and cooperation, there was an ominous presence in the shadows, leading to her being sentenced to 35 years in jail. Upon reaching the scene, the initial responders administered CPR to the baby's body, but unfortunately, their efforts proved futile in saving him.
Face down in the bed.
He's laying face down in the bed?
Yeah.
Clear.
Analyzing heart rhythm. Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart. No shock advised.
Let's go.
Be sure emergency medical service.
Is this y'all's child?
Subsequently, the police commenced an investigation into Hickey, delving into her perspective on the incident.
Put him to bed on his back, but his parents stated he could roll over, but I had never seen him.
The police conducted a thorough investigation, delving into every detail of her actions on that day, scrutinizing how she cared for the child, and unraveling the intricacies of her placing the child in the pack and play.
On the process of getting everyone out of bed, so this guy's still sitting here because, so this is the bed that Charlie was in.
Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick overview of the whole room real quick, and then.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You keep his face out of it. I guess is probably the best thing to do. I don't know.
He's not gonna be in it.
Okay.
Hickey was fully transparent during the investigation, and the police appreciated her cooperation. However, little did she know that her concealed truths were just a click away from being revealed through the videos on her security camera. Hickey's account of the events was riddled with inconsistencies. She claimed to have put Charlie on his back, a statement contradicted by evidence later. Her admission of not checking on the baby for more than 2 hours painted a picture of negligence. This lapse, as we would come to learn, was a fatal error.
You see that?
Yeah, I left it open because it needs to be drained. It hadn't. It's not draining through the hose, and the bucket's full. I was gonna let you know that.
Alright, take a picture of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just so no one thinks that was open.
The investigation dived deeper into the daycare's routine. Hickey described Charlie's normal schedule, but her timeline of the events didn't add up. As officers inspected the daycare, the inadequacies in the sleeping arrangements became glaringly evident. The safe sleep guidelines, crucial for infants, had been grossly ignored.
Show me how you placed him.
Sure.
I can do a picture and then show me how you did it.
And there was another child in there, so you put him down and picked one up, right?
So he's in there by himself.
He was, yes, yes.
Yes.
There was a switch.
Surveillance footage from the daycare became a critical piece of evidence. It showed the conditions under which Charlie and other children were cared for, conditions far from the nurturing environment parents had entrusted their children to. This footage would later become a key factor in unraveling the truth. As the investigation unfolded, the daycare's safety practices were called into question. The pack and play where Charlie was found raised concerns about its suitability and safety, highlighting a broader issue of lax standards in home daycares. Further scrutiny revealed that the daycare was equipped with cameras, an irony not lost on investigators. The very tools meant to ensure safety and transparency had captured evidence of neglect. Hickey's initial uncertainty about the camera's operation suggested a lack of familiarity with their own safety equipment. Officers' examination of the pack and play shed light on the grim reality of Charlie's last moments. The positioning and condition of the bedding indicated that he had been placed in a dangerous sleeping position, a stark deviation from Hickey's claims.
Share with the family that's a clothes.
No, yeah, no, I understand.
Where's the mattress pad?
She said that was the mattress pad, but it looks like it's.
There's no pad in there.
I know. That's what I said. But she said that's what he was sleeping on. They're all like that, though. I didn't want to manipulate it, so
No,
I haven't
that-
touched it yet, but He was found face down in that corner, top left corner. She put him back, and she said he must have rolled over.
As Hickey faced the realization of her actions, her distress was evident. She struggled to come to terms with the gravity of the situation, a moment that was as telling as it was tragic. Her emotional turmoil, however, did not absolve her of the responsibility for Charlie's death. Communication with the parents of the children in her daycare became a significant challenge for Hickey. She was advised to keep the information vague, citing a medical emergency. This evasion of details reflected a broader issue of accountability and transparency in child care settings.
I'll be here when you come back. I'm not going anywhere.
During this same time frame, Hickey is seen crying when she faces the realization that she'll have to speak with the parents of the children she cares for.
The police, while conducting their investigation, maintained a neutral stance, stating that they did not initially see any signs of malicious intent.
I don't see any signs of malicious intent here. We're not leaning towards that by no means. But I can't sit here and tell you that without a doubt.
No, you can't predict the future. I understand that. I just don't know what to tell them.
To tell them that, that you had an emergency, a child had to be rushed to the hospital, and leave it at that. Technically, you can't share any more
I don't
information
know
on that right
anything.
there. So,
I don't know, but that's all you gotta tell them.
yep.
Just tell them
And if they have questions, our officers here will be.
This initial assessment, however, would soon change as more evidence came to light. The arrival of Charlie's mother at the scene was heart-wrenching. The anguish and desperation of a mother rushing towards the ambulance, hoping against hope that her child was still alive, was a sight that underscored the tragedy of the situation.
Soon, Charlie's mother, Stephanie Cronmiller, arrives on the scene. She sprints toward the ambulance.
Have her go in the ambulance with them. Scottish Rite, ma'am. Go in the ambulance right there.
The medical examination was scheduled to determine the cause of death. This process, often lengthy and complex, was crucial in providing answers to the grieving family and in guiding the course of the investigation. Charlie's parents, caught in a whirlwind of grief and confusion, were briefed by the detectives. Their world had been shattered, and in their eyes, one could see the depth of their loss, a loss that was preventable and thus even more painful. As evening fell, the officers reassured Hickey and her family that they did not suspect wrongdoing at that point. This reassurance, however temporary, highlighted the complex nature of such investigations, where initial perceptions can often be misleading.
What is she being arrested for?
Felony murder and cruelty to children in the second degree.
The moment of Hickey's arrest marked a turning point in the case. Confronted with the reality of her actions, the facade of an innocent caregiver began to crumble. Her arrest for felony murder and cruelty to children was a stark reminder of the severity of her neglect. Upon realizing the gravity of her charges, Hickey's resolve to cooperate waned. Her decision not to speak to officers without legal representation was a calculated move, one that signaled her awareness of the serious implications of her actions.
When Hickey realizes her charges, she decides not to speak with officers.
And you had an opportunity to decide on whether or not you want to talk to me or not.
I don't know what to do, so I guess we should just move me along. Like, I don't know what the right thing to do is, so I don't.
Turn around, face me, put your hands behind your back, okay? You are being placed under arrest.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to talk to me? If so, we can go back to the police department and we can talk. If not, you're going to go straight to the cab jail.
Yes.
You do want to talk to me?
Yes.
Okay. So then we'll go back and we'll discuss it at the interview room, and then from there you'll be released to the jail, okay?
In the aftermath, the community grappled with the shocking revelations. The trust placed in Hickey was betrayed in the most unimaginable way. This case became a sobering reminder of the importance of due diligence and oversight in childcare. One particular video clip showed Hickey grabbing a child by the arms, spinning, and then dropping him. This act, far removed from the gentle care expected in a daycare, highlighted a pattern of behavior that was both alarming and unacceptable. As more details emerged, the community's trust in Hickey shattered. Parents who had once seen her as a caregiver now questioned every bruise and every cry they had overlooked. Hickey's subsequent trial and conviction brought some closure to the case. Yet, the sentence of 35 years in prison with 30 behind bars seemed a small consolation to a family that had lost their child.
What is she being arrested for?
Felony murder and cruelty to children in the second degree.
Her plea, an Alford plea, meant that while she didn't admit guilt, she acknowledged that the evidence against her was overwhelming. The This legal maneuver allowed her to avoid a direct admission of guilt, but did little to ease the pain of those affected.
Hickey was charged with second-degree murder, reckless conduct, and multiple counts of cruelty to children. She later entered an Alford plea to second-degree murder, meaning she maintains her innocence but accepts that there's enough evidence to convict her of the crime. This month, she was sentenced to 35 years in prison. 30 of those years will be spent behind bars, and the remaining 5 will be spent on probation.
In this heart-wrenching story, we're reminded of the profound responsibility that comes with caring for the youngest and most vulnerable. It's a tale that challenges us to ask tough questions about trust, safety, and accountability. For more insights and in-depth analysis, remember to subscribe and join our community. Share your thoughts below, and let's keep the conversation going. Stay informed, stay engaged.